All right, dramatic news on who might be the vice presidential pick for Kamala Harris. There is a huge hint as to who it might be, and then I'm going to break down for you guys the upsides and downsides of that person. First, of course, remember Monday through Friday. What time do we have the live show? 6 o'clock. That's right. 6 o'clock Eastern, goes 6 to 8. We're doing amazing things on there, doing new interviews now with progressives, libertarians, right wing, left wing, etc. Let alone all the fun we have on the live show. And make sure you're joining to become a member by hitting the join button below, because that's what keeps us in business. And you guys are the best and allow us to do this show. All right, now let me give you the big news. So Holly Otterbein from Politico is reporting Kamala Harris is expected to announce her running mate by Tuesday. Here we are, Tuesday of this week, obviously, and that means there's not even a week left, because they're going to announce it before Tuesday, if this is right. And she'll hold her first rally with her pick in Philadelphia. Oh, my God, drama. Who's the governor of Pennsylvania? Josh Shapiro, one of the finalists in her VP pick selection. But the two will then hit the Western Wisconsin, Detroit, Raleigh, Savannah, Phoenix, and Las Vegas. Phoenix, that's in Arizona. Mark Kelly's another contender. He's a senator there. Well, we had Whitmer in Michigan. That's, of course, Detroit, but she's basically dropped out. Roy Cooper in North Carolina. That's Raleigh, but he's withdrawn. So is it going to be one of those folks, or is it going to be Josh Shapiro? Well, very likely it'll be Josh Shapiro. Here, I'm switching the mic closer to me so you can hear better. And so that is pretty dramatic. I mean, look, is it possible that it's someone else like Governor Beshear? In fact, there's rumors that I'll fill you in on here in a sec. But is it possible that it's a head fake and they already checked with Josh Shapiro and they say, hey, brother, we're going to start in Philly, but it ain't you. We're going to go surprise and, pop out Mark Kelly there? Well, it's not impossible, but the fact that they're holding it in Philadelphia seems to be a giant hint that it's Governor Shapiro from Pennsylvania. And so I'm going to tell you upsides and downsides of him. But, mind you, it is definitely not set in stone. That's a scoop from Politico on where the rally's being held and the date. And so Mark Kelly was a person who was being mentioned a lot as a leading contender. So that was one set of rumors. There was rumors earlier today that Governor Beshear in Kentucky had gotten extra Secret Service protection. That made people think that it might be Beshear. And then there's two other names that have been buzzing. They've been all over television. You might have seen it. One is Tim Walz, who's a great progressive populist governor in Minnesota, has a giant record of accomplishment there on both social and economic issues. He's done some amazing work. I've told you before that Minnesota is an interesting model for what we could do across the nation. So I still love Tim Walz as a possibility if there really is still a running. And then there was Pete Buttigieg, who was all over TV, and now he was not on the original list. He's now on the new list that does not include Whitmer because she's withdrawn now a couple of times, but does include Buttigieg. That would be a disaster. I think Mark Kelly's a bad pick. I think Buttigieg is a disastrous pick. I think those two make it less likely that the Democrats win. I would then put them back as underdogs. You don't want corporate robots. People already don't want that. Kamala Harris doesn't need to double down on establishment. She's got establishment locked up. So there's just no sense in picking a Buttigieg. I think it's madness to even consider him. And Kamala Harris and Buttigieg are, from what we hear, God knows if it's true, are not the best of friends anyway. They've been opponents for a while, competitors. They were in the 2020 primary, etc. So, but among all those rumors, by far, the one most likely is Josh Shapiro. He was already mentioned in almost every instance of the two leading contenders. It was usually Shapiro and Kelly that were mentioned. And I have one other thing to add that is actually a scoop I have, burying the lead a little bit here. But I talked to a member of Congress, and they believe that Josh Shapiro is definitely in the lead. So that was from a day ago. So now you put those things together, and especially the announcement of the rally in Philadelphia, and it now looks like there's an excellent chance that it's going to be Governor Shapiro as the VP pick. Now, if it's him, let me quickly give you downsides and upsides. So downside is threefold. Number one, he's a hardliner on Israel. Now, a lot of people are say, "Oh, don't do that. You're going to lose the youth vote." There's good reason to say that in a second. That I'll get to in a second. But guys, on the other hand, who's not a hardliner on Israel? Like, is there anyone they were going to pick? Was Mark Kelly going to put his foot down in favor of the Palestinians? Come on. Was Pete Buttigieg going to do it? He wouldn't even do it for East Palestine, let alone actual Palestine. So there's no way Buttigieg was going to be like, none of these guys, I don't think would have made any difference. Plus, it doesn't make any difference because Kamala Harris is going to set the policy. I mean, I hear these comical things about how she's tougher on Israel. I'll believe it when I see it. Nobody's going to be tough on Israel from the Democratic side or the Republican side. In fact, today, Donald Trump called Schumer, apparently in a closed-door meeting with donors, which is the primary meeting that both sides have. He called Chuck Schumer a Palestinian. That's his favorite insult now. Oh, Biden's a Palestinian. Schumer's a Palestinian. And people who say, oh, he's not racist. Well, he's definitely racist against Palestinians. He uses it as an insult regularly. He went on his usual spiel of, I can't believe the Jews aren't voting for me. The Jews should vote for me. Yeah, you sound like a real, advocate of Jewish Americans. Just because you'll do anything that Israel wants, because Sheldon Adelson and Miriam Adelson and AIPAC are ordering you, doesn't mean that you're actually in favor of Jewish people, and certainly not Jewish Americans. So he says, oh, well, my vote only went from 25 to 26% among Jews, like as if they have to be loyal to you. They're not loyal to Israel or you. They're Americans. Anyway, so that's Donald Trump. He's not going to make it any better. He's awful on Israel. He's even worse than the Democrats, which seemed undoable, but he has managed to do it as he usually does. So I'm going to get back to Kamala Harris. Hey, Robe Life, how you doing? Good to see members here. I'll try to shout out members who join while I'm live or do super chats. So now Kamala Harris has now regained the lead in the youth vote, and that is why people are concerned about Shapiro's hardline on Israel. And she went for the Democrats went from losing the youth vote to back up 20 points. Look, I can't help but throw in a couple of told yous along the way. Remember, all the people are like, no, keep Biden. It's so risky to make a change. So risky. It ain't risky, brother. It was risky to stay with him. So here we are now, back up to 20 points lead with 18 to 34-year-olds. They're worried that Shapiro might endanger that a little bit. But again, it's going to be Kamala's position. Everyone's a hardliner on Israel, even though, of course, I don't want that. But to me, the more troubling part of Shapiro on that issue is he did an executive order in Pennsylvania saying that any state employee who does a scandalous protest could be fired. Look, we all know what they're going to find scandalous. Any protest of Israel will be considered scandalous, and you'll be immediately fired. Now, theoretically, it also applies to Muslims and Islamophobia and all of that stuff. Maybe they'll do it once as a token gesture, but hold, because Josh Shapiro has a really great point on how he's helped Muslims in America before. So I'll get to that near the end. But this one sucks. Firing people for any opinion is wrong. Any opinion about a foreign country is doubly wrong. And then saying, oh, I find your opinion scandalous when we've seen how that's applied in America is terrible. So that, to me, that's the worst thing that he's done. There's one more bad thing, but then a bunch of good ones. So make sure you hear the good ones, because I'm actually slightly excited about him. So Cosmere Dragon, Tim Walz has pretty good views on Gaza. Tim Walz has pretty good views on everyone. Look, I had a pipe dream about Jamie Raskin. We all had a dream long time ago about Bernie Sanders, but those are not going to happen. They're not in the running. It's not realistic. So among the ones that are left, Tim Walz appears to be the most progressive, but Shapiro might be the second most progressive. I know that might come as a shock to you, but hold. So last bad thing is he's now talking about doing an aggressive corporate tax cut in Pennsylvania. I don't know if it's a play for donors or to seem moderate so he can get on the ticket. I don't know, but it's not good. Okay, so those are the downsides. So why would I be excited? Why would I have him in the top two of the actual potential candidates here, Tim Walz and then Shapiro? Well, because he has done a number of things to challenge Wall Street, economically populist positions. So number one, he switched the pension funds away from giant Wall Street firms that charge huge rates. Back when he was a commissioner in Montgomery County, he was the chairman actually of the commission there, and he executed that. And he's considering doing that for Pennsylvania as well. Wall Street firms do not like that. Man, they love to tap into those pension funds. And then they'll have absurdly high rates that they put on there. They view the taxpayers as suckers. And so they love rating the pension funds and saying, oh, no, we're getting good returns for you. And half the time, they don't get good returns at all. So I love that Shapiro did that, and you should give him a world of credit for that. Ted Max, thank you for the super chat. Asking why I don't like Newsom. Look, Newsom's a long story. He's very corporate Democrat, looks and acts like an elitist. I have huge problems with his the favors he did for his donors, but all that is irrelevant now because Kamala Harris is from California. Constitutionally, the presidential and vice presidential candidate cannot be from the same state. So the Republicans thought about playing fast and loose with that with Marco Rubio and Trump, but even they chose not to do that. And the Democrats would never get into constitutional issues. So that eliminates Gavin Newsom. Ryan, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate it. Now let's go to more upsides for Shapiro. He went after predatory lenders, and that company that he went after, Mariner, actually is owned by a giant private equity company worth has $82 billion in assets. So going after a huge private equity company and trying to protect the consumers in Pennsylvania when he was attorney general and busting the predatory lenders for all the sneaky stuff that they were putting into the loans. Nice job. That's the second economically populist position he has that I'm very much in favor of. Now, other progressive positions that are not about economics, he went after the Catholic clergy. Now, that was a grand jury investigation that concluded before he became the attorney general, but as attorney general, it was not public yet, and he had a choice to bury it or to go forward. You might think that's easy, but given the Catholic vote back in the day was near impossible, right? And that stuff would get buried all the time, right or wrong. These is a little bit better and easier to do it, but bottom line is give him credit. In 2018, he went after him, over 300 abusive Catholic priests, and he's Jewish, so for him to do that is even harder politically, and he did it anyway, showed courage. He did a terrific job with it, so give him credit for that, and that's protecting kids, and that's a big deal. So nice one for Shapiro on that. Hussein Saleh, thank you, brother, for the super chat. We appreciate it. So, and then finally, during Donald Trump's attempt to do a travel ban on people coming from Muslim countries, Shapiro jumped in to try to protect Muslims and Muslim Americans and fought against Trump's travel ban. So as you get frustrated with his views on Gaza and Israel, don't forget the brother did stand up for Muslim Americans when it counted, and that makes a big difference. So we could disagree about foreign policy. We can disagree about certain countries. To me, the most important thing is, are you standing up for Americans? And so he stood up for Muslim Americans there, and he stood up for the average American, going after the predatory lenders and going after Wall Street firms. So not bad at all, especially given the context of other Democrats in the country. Balash, thank you for the super chat. LS08, you as well. So I'll get back to Medicare for All. Eric, thank you for the super chat. So I'll try to remember Medicare for All, but let me finish up on Shapiro here. So when you look at the context of all the other picks, Mark Kelly, super boring, corporate guy, was against the PRO Act, that's the union bill, until like a week ago when he realized, oh, that's inconvenient if I want to be VP. I shouldn't be against unions. I guess. People keep telling me, but he's an astronaut. I don't see how that has anything to do with policy or your record in politics. So Sorry, not at all impressed. That's a Tim Kaine kind of pick. Look, I don't want to go through all the VP possibilities. We already talked about it a little bit, but the bottom line is, guys, that's there's a lot of Democrats whose main thing has been serving the donors, serving corporations. So when I see a Democrat who actually takes on corporations, who takes on Wall Street and does it to protect the average citizen, that's pretty, unfortunately, I wish it was a lot more common, but unfortunately that's pretty rare these days. So Shapiro is a lot more progressive than people realize. He's at least progressive adjacent. And again, if they're going to pick someone who's very likely, an establishment candidate, and the fact that the establishment doesn't mind Josh Shapiro, not bad, not bad. I'll take at minimum progressive adjacent or half progressive over not progressive at all and a standard corporate Democrat. So if it's not Tim Walz, then I'm happy that it's Shapiro and that she's going that way. So let's see. Let's cross our fingers. Our dog show. So thank you for the super chat. Appreciate it. All right, I'll answer the question about Medicare for All just real quick. Everybody's giving her Kamala Harris credit for being for Medicare for All for about 3 seconds. I saw a really emotional video where she's talking to Addie Barkan, who was an amazing activist who was actually at that point had terminal disease when talking to Kamala Harris, and we knew he was going to pass away. And it's a super emotional moment where she talks about her mom having colon cancer, and she tears up and she says she's going to fight for him. Right afterwards, she changed her mind and decided to not be for Medicare for All. Do not give her credit for that. Okay. So I know a lot of people, oh my God, emotions and yay. And we all have to be on the same team. Hold on. My job is news to tell you reality. She is not for Medicare for All. She definitively changed her mind on that. Will she bring that up anymore? No way. I would be shocked if she did. So she does not have a progressive record. I mean, there's this nonsense about, she was the second most progressive senator after Bernie Sanders. What did they pass? What are they talking about? They barely did pass anything. They barely voted on anything. A lot of those were show votes. So if you named a post office after someone more liberal, I'm not impressed. So when things mattered in Congress, Kamala Harris was not really a progressive. And Nicholas Moore, thank you for the super chat. So look, I'm not saying she's like the most corporate, the most establishment, but she's definitely not in the progressive camp. So I want someone on that ticket who at least has a toehold in the progressive area. And again, focusing on economic populism and the willingness to take on corporate interests, Wall Street, and donors. And Shapiro is among the rare Democrats that has shown that proclivity. So that's, in my opinion, the good news. They're not going to go in a super progressive direction and bring back Medicare for All. We'd be lucky to get paid family leave. And guys, I'm going to fight like hell to try to get paid family leave in this agenda in a way where we've got any kind of fighter's chance of getting it passed if she wins the presidency. So, and that'll give us a reason to get excited. And I hope we can, but that proof will be in the pudding. And so we'll see if that happens, but we'll keep fighting to make sure we got the right policies and the right candidates. Okay, make sure you check out the show Monday through Friday. What time? That's right, 6 o'clock Eastern. So we'll see you there.